Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with my good friend Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. So I'm going to ask you to go back in time a little bit to a black swan event that ultimately became the Great Recession in the United States. And that was obviously the Lehman blow up or bankruptcy, right? But the reason I'm bringing this up to you is because I believe there may be a black swan event happening right now in China. China's largest property developer, who owes $300 billion in debt, just said they can't make interest payments. Their stock's down 80%. And it kind of feels like this Lehman moment, right? Where the stock chart goes like this. And that obviously kicked off a lot of stuff very quickly in the US, which I think it might in China. And the reason we're talking about China is because eventually the counterparty risk kind of rolls out from there. But I'm asking people, all of my experts, to relive that Lehman moment. And, what were you doing? And did you notice an immediate change in whatever you were interacting with? So do you remember when Lehman went bust?
Yeah, I do. And it was, I was young and having fun and not in the mortgage or real estate industry. But funny thing is that as a poker room manager, I was managing a poker room. We had poker, we had blackjack and pie gow and some of those games as well. Tons and tons of clients that were in real estate, right? And they were living high on the hog. Yeah. 04, 05, 06, 07. We were booming. Business was booming for so many folks where we were full to the brim, Mike, like 7 days a week. And, drinks were flowing. Yeah. They were partying through the night. They were tipping myself. They were tipping the wait staff. They were tipping the dealers, having a great time. And then, like you said, the music stopped. Yep. The party stopped. And it was clear, right? It was really clear when, you inject a little bit of an uncertainty. And I was close enough to friends that were in mortgage and in real estate to kind of at least have an idea of what's going on. And they're like, banks are going out of business. I had loans at this lender and, they just stopped funding. And, the implodometer where like every day you find a new one's, gone belly up and you can't fund your loans there. You try to transfer it to a new one, they go belly up. And so I got a little glimpse into that. I obviously wasn't as entrenched as I am today, but it was interesting times. And what's funny is I looked back at a newspaper I have because I think the very bottom of the stock market was like March 9th, 2009. Okay. That was the day my first son was born.
It's all better since then.
Yeah. Ever since my first son was born, it's just been off to the races. And everything's good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting because again, I remember sitting on the couch watching it. It was the only time I remember watching CNBC with my daughter, right? We didn't really talk money a lot, but we did a lot that couple of months. And it was overnight. And then it just seemed to, the dominoes it felt like it was never going to stop, right? I remember a money market fund breaking the buck, which you never thought was possible, right? And that meant that, hey, you put money in a money market account at $1 and you only got back like 98 cents. That was not supposed to happen, right? There was just a lot of, it was a very scary time. And again, what happened is ultimately companies went out of business, people lost jobs, recession happened. And ultimately in the real estate market, right? My 50-year chart, we had 5-year real estate kind of fell slowly, stock market instantly, job losses instantly. But real estate was really a slow kind of death by 1,000 cuts for 5 years. So it was interesting. And again, it eventually went worldwide. And again, why we're talking about this is, who knows, but China has I don't know what I want to call it because I'm not in that market, but it does seem like they have a risky loan book. How about that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, they're a big enough player in the world that there's ripple effects that probably will be felt other places.
Yeah. And again, we just talked with Anna Kelly, who works at AIG at the time. And again, Lehman Brothers going out of business, if it did it by itself, it would have hurt, but it wouldn't have been a catastrophe, right? The system was built for companies to make bets. And if you lose, you go out of business. But where Lehman moment became a thing was all the counterparty risk. And then the levered bets on CDOs and all of that. And then suddenly AIG is in trouble and if suddenly the Fed is having, conversations about what companies to bail out. And that's what you just don't know about China. You don't know how intertwined this is. If that $300 million loan book is like between them and the government, it's a non-event, right? It doesn't happen. But if the financial market is levered up around them and like they made bets, that's where you get pretty dicey, right? The spider web.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else you remember about that time? Do you remember? I mean, it changed overnight. When did it get better, or did you change industries because it was just so slow?
Well, yeah, things progressively got slower in the poker room, and then I went out and did a little bit in, working for the state of California doing finance. And then in 2013, but I think something that's important probably for everybody to understand is, like you said, it was kind of a slow death.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably could use a better word, but then the recovery was also really slow as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Even in 2006, I think for a lot of markets, like 2005 was the peak, because when I bought my house in 2006, my first house, it was originally priced at 365. And then it got lowered to 345, 3 years later, things were selling for 180 in the corp that I bought, but it was like 2006 through 2011 or 12. Like it was a spread out decline.
Yeah.
And then 12 through 16, I remember getting into mortgage in 2013 and it's like recover, we're slowly recovering.
Yeah.
Right.
Real estate moves a lot slower than people think. They think these crashes are like overnight. They're just not.
I mean, I can tell you from all the conversations I have, there are people waiting for real estate to go on sale by 40% next month. That's just never, ever going to happen.
Dude, the biggest crash we had in a year was 8.9%. That's a national.
Yeah. And it's funny that's considered a crash.
Yeah.
A crash. The biggest one in the history of forever, 8.9% crash. Yeah. And I promise you, people think that if they see a 5-year thing where it went down 30 or 40%, that can happen in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year.
Price elasticity is a thing. Look it up. Prices are inelastic, especially when the debt structure is much better. We don't have that rolling cascading of bad debt structure with adjustable rate mortgages and pickup payments and all of that. So
exactly.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about that Lehman moment. It'll be interesting to see. Again, the Chinese economy is managed. The government can come in and make all the loans good. They can do whatever they want. It's a managed economy, but it's something to watch for, right? It's, there's been talk about China having empty buildings and all of these things. And it's going to be interesting to watch. I think and the other thing about kind of noise in China is people will rush to the dollar. And this is something I wanted to ask you, because again, if people rush to the dollar right out of the yuan, it could actually drive rates lower. How about that for nuttiness?
I know. Yeah. You're right. And there was, you ever watch The Uneducated Economist?
I do. Yeah. I
like his stuff a lot. And he was talking, not this specific, but other things that could, make the dollar stronger.
Yeah. I did. I watched a couple of his videos. Yeah, I agree with him. I think in the short, medium term, the dollar could surprise people and get stronger, which means rates will go lower. It's
right.
Kind of funny. So,
yeah. See, I told you we're gonna see that 199.
You did 199
before we see the 4.
Dude, I'm gonna refi everything again. What the hell?
I'm telling you, like, it's funny. People reach out to me and they're just like, "Is it weird if I did 2 refinances within 24 months?" And of the properties I own, I've done 7 or 8. Collectively and multiple on the same one for certain circumstances, right?
Yeah, when the numbers make sense, the numbers make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how can people find you if they want to have these conversations?
Shoot me and my team an email, matt@mattthemortgageguy.com. We're happy to help license in California. Coming soon, other states. And I say coming soon, one of these days, we're going to make the announcement for anybody who's come to us, greatmortgagebroker.com, and been connected with U Mortgage. That is where I'm transitioning currently. And so as I land there, get my footing, me and my team have everything in place. We're going to start adding licenses in other states. Thank you. Thank you. I can tell you that it's fun and exciting, especially interacting with the one rental at a time community where they're like, you're going to be licensed in other states. I can use you in Florida. I can use you in Texas. I can use you in Arizona. People are excited about it. And so I'm excited about it as well, because I always wanted to make sure I referred somebody where they're going to be taken care of. Now that me and my team will be able to handle it, I know you'll be taken care of.
There you go. Love it, folks. Again, Matt at mattthemortgageguy.com. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.